Board of Education order. Please join me in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody tonight, and hopefully we'll beat the snow out of here.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the agenda with the following amendments. Number 1, additional certified and classified personnel actions for consideration. Item number E3. And number 2, add item number 4D, bid for wide area network 470A technology department.
Any questions or discussion?
Second.
Second, Laura. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Thank you. Great.
Well, we have a couple of recognitions this evening, and Mr. Morales and Mrs. Stevens are going to recognize Jane Vanderhoff in high school as well as Heather Keenan. So, education, Jane.
Stand up, her. All right. Again, we appreciate you letting us recognize some of our outstanding educators from Garden City High School. Ms. Jen Vanderhoff was selected this year by the Kansas Music Educators Association. They pick 6 candidates.
One from each district.
One from each district, and then 3, and then select from 3?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I know it's very confusing, but anyway. The honor is that out of the 6 districts in the state of Kansas, she was chosen as the Music Educator of the Year out of the whole state of Kansas. So I think we need to give her a round of applause. It's quite an award. Just speaking about Ms. Vanderhoff, she's been in education for 35 years, not all in Garden City, but for the last 25 years in Garden City. She does a tremendous job. Kids our choirs are always successful. The amount of kids that we take to state every year, I'm just amazed at the job that she does. And she has to get back tonight.
We're having show choir tryouts.
Show choir tryouts, and the kids were real nervous in the halls when I left a few minutes ago. But anyway, we feel like Jane is very deserving of that award, and we really appreciate the hard work that she does. And I want to shake your hand.
Thank you. I have wonderful administration that support the arts, and I want to thank you for understanding what it does for our kids and for their future and for them as people, not just musicians, but as people. It makes them into wonderful people. And I appreciate the understanding of our administration and the team that I get to work with. It's my privilege to work in this school district with these people. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come on through.
Come on, thank you.
Thank you. Mine is old too. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Next is Heather Neeland. She has been at the high school for 9 years within our ESL department, teaching language arts classes, survival skills, any class needed in the ESL department. She stepped up and willing to help. 3 years ago, we found a program, Achieve 3000, when Mr. Morales and Mr. Segovia went to Texas. We came back, we researched it, and we adopted it within our ESL department. And in October, Heather entered her 6th-hour reading class into a contest. And she's going to tell you a little bit about the contest. And then in December, we were notified that they won a national reading contest. And they received certificates and had a pizza party. and she's brought a couple of her students here to introduce them, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the contest and what the program is.
This is Ma and Sabahat, and they are in my 6th-hour reading program. And like Mrs. Liker said, we piloted the Chief 3000 program 3 years ago, and we're really impressed with the students' Lexile levels and how they had increased, especially among ESL students. So we stuck with the program, and now since we're shifting to Common Core, the changes that they've made in the program as far as argumentative and informative writing are just really helpful to our students. They read nonfiction articles. They are expected to answer comprehension questions, and then they answer thought questions or prompts, argumentative and informative. So anyway, I entered them into this contest, and they didn't know about it because I didn't want them to be disappointed, and I didn't want to be disappointed. And so they had to complete, in order to enter, they had to complete a minimum of 40 articles in the first semester, and so we met that criteria. And then between October and November, they had to complete at least 6 nonfiction articles between that time, and they had to score at least 75% or higher on the comprehension. And so we went ahead and entered the contest, and we were the district winner because there are other classes in the high school that also use the program. Glenda Gibson's SPED kids use it, and my other 8th hour also participates. And so these guys were the highest, and so then once we were the district winners, then we were entered into the national contest, and they choose a winner from each state depending on district size and things like that according to the points. And so these guys did end up winning from Kansas, and so I'm just really proud of them for all the work that they put into it. And so.
So are you just a reader too? You just like to read? Yeah? Good. Thank you so much. You know how lucky you are to know 2 languages? That's pretty awesome.
Heather, how many students do you have in class? How many students do you have in class?
In 6th hour, I have 13, and in 8th hour, I have 14.
I just have a comment for the students. I think it's so awesome, and I'm so jealous that I can't say that I know more than 1 language. I think that is amazing, and be very proud of that, and definitely, of course, keep your native language, and that's amazing. But it'll help you with every aspect of your life. Your resume already goes to the top of the pile because you know more than 1 language. So that's awesome. I'm happy for you both.
Thank you very much. And I believe we have a building presentation.
Yes, we do. Our bid sets.
All right. Thank you very much for having us this evening. I brought most of my leadership team with me this evening. So Karen Merle is our associate principal, and Paula Corby is our literacy coach. Penny Douglas is one of our physical education teachers. Marcia Taylor is our math coach. Michelle Law is a 5th grade math teacher, and Amanda Wilkinson is one of our special education teachers. Lynn Boitano, 6th grade communications, and Michelle Thompson is 6th grade math. So we try to have a representation on that leadership team from each of the aspects of our building, special ed. Several of them have their ESL endorsements, so that piece is in there. And pretty much it's voluntary, so they put a lot of time in to help the building. we want to thank Dr. Atha for what we're going to kind of present to this evening. We are going to go through a little bit of how we're working on our focus school status, and Dr. Atha was gracious enough to work with the state and give us a little bit of leeway, not having to use the Kansas Star program and letting us use what we have here in our district with our district initiative and our strategic plan to make it more beneficial for our students and what we're doing so that it aligns right along with what the district is doing and what the state is doing too. So I did go ahead and run off a copy for you so you can kind of follow along what we're doing. It shows you what the board initiatives are, what the state indicators are that we're working on, and how we're trying to meet each of those indicators and how we update them every month to keep on top of things so that we know we're not letting anything slide. So each of the different committees here are going to share with you a little bit about what we're doing on each of those indicators. So I'll just turn it over here and we'll open it for questions when we're finished.
And we're just going to go in order as they are on the paper, so we might skip around up here, but we're staying in order on your paper. My name is Karen Merle, and this is my first year at Bernadine Sitz as the assistant principal, and I think they all got a good chuckle at me the first few months of learning the focus school status and trying to figure out what a benchmark and an indicator and all of that stuff is and where it goes. So we'll start with the first indicator that we have, number 110, and that is all teachers are guided by a document that aligns standards, curriculum, instruction, and assessments. And starting in November, we started updating this, and what we have learned, or what we have said, is that during our math PLCs and our reading PLCs, which are guided by our math and literacy coaches, we have been looking at curriculum, and that started way back in the spring, especially with math, kind of trying to find that transitional curriculum because we've opted to not get a textbook at this time. And then we've just kind of continued to monitor that as we go the last 2 months.
All right, I'm Michelle Thompson, one of the 3 in this district, and yeah, so emails sometimes get messed up. But I'm a 6th grade math teacher, and we are really excited about a lot of things that we're doing in our building. As being a math teacher, we've kind of taken the approach in our classrooms that we want to do a pre-assessment, teach our unit, do a post-assessment, and then reteach based on whatever we see on that assessment. So that's our indicator 88 there for math. Communications are working on increasing their rigor and relevance in their centers, and they're working together in their PLCs to do that. Several of our staff members got the chance to go to Hutchinson to view lessons at Lincoln Elementary School, and Marcia got to go, and she's been in our classrooms modeling those lessons for us. So we have had a lot of professional development, which is very exciting for us. Paula has also been in communications classrooms, focusing on guided reading and bumping up the rigor and relevance in our classrooms. So that's kind of a view of what we were doing for indicator 88. So I'm going to flip the page and go to 89. I'm going to talk about that also. We, of course, use our district framework, and we are building up these units as we speak. One thing we're really excited about for math is we've been searching for materials to use in our classrooms, and we've, through Marcia, have come up with a program out of New York. It's called Engage New York, and it's been really successful in our classrooms, so we're very excited about that. It really fits well with our plan to assess, teach, assess, and then reteach. So we're very excited about that. And communications teachers are really working to develop projects to assess student learning. So those are some of the things that we are working on to address these goals that we have.
On the next page is indicator 134. All teachers encourage students to paraphrase, summarize, and read late. And one of the challenges or things that was brought to our attention was that not all of this was addressed on the district walkthrough process in order to meet this indicator. So the leadership team was charged with finding a means to accomplish this goal and document it so that we can move forward with that. So with that in mind.
And so we were excited when we met as a leadership team, and Dr. Dennis was there and said, we can do that. We can just put that on the walkthrough form. So the retell or the paraphrase and the summarize is now on our walkthrough form. So we have data now that will support an important indicator. We also have had further school-wide in-services on the race strategy, which we're really excited about, and our kids are using in the classroom during Kagan strategies, during race, when we're doing communication, where they're answering questions. So I think they're excited to have a format that they can follow to express themselves in a written way.
And just to kind of piggyback off of what Lynn is saying about having Dr. Dennis add those things and Michelle to our walkthroughs, our school is kind of starting up where the peers, that our teachers go in and observe each other. So it's not just the coaches and the principals, our teachers actually go in and observe each other. And so it's been put on their walkthroughs too. So.
And we're excited because it's such an important part of, it's one of the Marzano 9. So that was something that we really were excited that you could do.
Okay, I'm Amanda Wilkinson, one of the 6th grade special education teachers. One of the indicators, 94, is teachers' individualized instruction based on pre-test results to provide support for some students and enhance learning opportunities for others. We have been following the Ames Web testing for both math and reading. We do the benchmarks 3 times a year. All of our reading and math groups are divided into based on how they have scored, and we this year have been really focusing in on our interventions and making sure that we are progress monitoring them weekly or bi-weekly, and making sure that if they are making their benchmarks, they can move on to a different intervention or up into an enrichment.
My indicator is number 3410 and number 3411. Number 3410 says the school implements a system-wide monitoring process, such as practiced in Kansas MTSS, that utilizes collaborative instructional teams who meet regularly to review student data from screening, progress monitoring, and outcome assessments to identify next steps for instruction for students across all tiers. And with that indicator, we have really embraced the MTSS process and have been working really hard on that. So we have the Ames Web benchmark screeners, and we put our students who are in tier 2 and 3 into interventions. So all students who qualified in reading are in an intervention for reading, and then any student in math who is not in a reading intervention then is in a math intervention. And their progress monitored. The requirement in reading is every week. For math, it's every 2 weeks, but some of the teachers are so focused on moving students forward that they're in progress monitoring every week in math also. And then the second one, it still has to do with the testing. It's 3411. It says the school implements a reliable and valid system-wide screening process for academics and behavior that includes assessment of all students multiple times per year and establishes decision rules to determine those students in need of targeted intervention. In case you didn't know, we were the first school to adopt the Ames Web process. So we've been doing Ames Web in our building for 3 years. In our PLCs, we have a weekly data PLC for math and a weekly data PLC for communications, where we look at the data from the benchmark screeners, which are given 3 times a year, and then the progress monitoring screeners as well. And then our students are placed in interventions depending on their need on those screeners. And I have the other two that go with MTSS. The next one is 3412, and the indicator is the school implements a tiered instructional system, such as Kansas MTSS, that allows teachers to deliver evidence-based instruction aligned with the individual needs of students across all tiers. We have a 40-minute walk-to intervention time set aside each day. So as she mentioned, all of the students that needed an intervention in reading are receiving an intervention, and most of the students in math. We had 163 students in reading served first semester. This semester, we're at 150. We had a lot of students move not only out of interventions, because we've had some come in, but we also found that we were able to move students in reading those phonics, accuracy, and then fluency, and then onto comprehension. And we've actually met the needs in phonics for many students, and so we've added additional fluency group interventions and comprehension interventions, which is really where we want to go, and we were really excited to see that happening. Part of our 40-minute intervention is that we have the approved programs that the district has on our curriculum protocol that we're utilizing to deliver, that we're delivering in those intervention times. The next one is 3413, which is still with the MTSS, and the indicator is the school's tiered instructional system, such as Kansas MTSS, includes documentation that describes what interventions are provided and how interventions are selected and assigned to students and how fidelity will be monitored. MTSS has provided some documents, but a lot of those are really time-consuming, and our teachers already have so many things to do. We've kind of streamlined that, but we do have an intervention log that all teachers who are delivering an intervention maintain each week and then submit to both Marcia and I to document not only like their attendance, what specific intervention they're receiving, but also if there are any concerns and their progress monitoring data, which in reading we have the 3 tiers. It's the green, yellow, and red. On the yellow ones, it's actually every 2 weeks, and the red ones, it's weekly that we do progress monitoring. And every Monday morning, we have a data meeting with our PLC where we actually look at how they're doing on the progress monitoring. We identify students who aren't making progress or who are declining, and then we problem solve together as a team to find ways that we can better serve them and meet their needs.
Indicator 58, the principal monitors curriculum and classroom instruction regularly. The way that we have been working on this is that every month at the end of the walkthrough, like we just finished up January, so we're going to start looking at January's walkthrough data and analyze that and see what numbers were high, what numbers were low, and plan accordingly. We plan PLCs according to that, other professional development, and get the teachers out and start looking at that. And so that's been an interesting thing to watch the past few months, especially in the area of metacognition, which is something our building has really found was something that we needed to work on. And it's taken several months from us starting going, well, I remember hearing the word metacognition in college, but I don't really quite remember what it means, to, oh yes, that's what it looks like, and utilizing it in the classroom. And we've also added that to the walkthrough, so the teachers, we've been able to evaluate it, but the teachers haven't been able to mark it if they see it, and so now they're going to be able to do that.
That leads us to the next indicator of number 97. Instructional teams develop materials for their standards-aligned learning activities and share the materials amongst themselves. And this all occurs at our PLCs. And as you notice there, it says that we meet 3 times a week. And they're aligned with the learning activities. Materials are published and shared amongst our PLC members, and if appropriate, they're also put on the district website for other staff, district staff to take a look at and use as well. We meet 3 times a week, strategies, data, and planning, as was mentioned before. And during each planning and strategy, PLC members collaborate by sharing materials for their standard aligned learning activities. We're very committed and faithful to that. At our math PLCs, we write weekly lesson plans collaboratively with a clearinghouse of activities determined by our PLC members. And again, we're taking a really close look at the New York engagement and finding that that has been a positive thing, and we're working with that and through that. And we meet with the math coach for additional resources to support what we're doing. And
specifically in communications, our PLCs continue to develop vocabulary PowerPoints and use the Anita Archer vocabulary method. And we also collaborate with other teaching strategies that we bring or that our coach brings, like to promote rigor and relevance, critical thinking, how to have activities in the quadrant C and D areas, reciprocal teaching, engagement, those types of things. We also are sharing ideas on eBackpack, and our PLC minutes and lesson plans and activities and notes will show evidence of this progress towards our goals. So we'll have data that shows that we're actually doing what we say we're doing.
And then also our staff was introduced, and we had an in-service training on Nexpert. It's a program to develop aligned learning activities.
And our last indicator is 1570. The school regularly communicates with parents about its expectations of them and the importance of the curriculum up in the home. And we have changed from math night and literacy night to Common Core night, which we are going to be doing twice a year. We've already done one in fall. And the teachers have said how they wanted to have more involvement in it. And so we as teachers are coming together with our coaches to plan for our spring one, which is set for the week after spring break. Also, I know that as on the health committee, we have also put in activities to that. And then for our conferences, they are now student-led. So instead of the teachers telling the parents how the kids are doing in the class, the students fill out an evaluation on themselves, and they tell their parents how they are doing in class, and then they have set goals for their improvement until the spring one, which is in the next couple weeks.
And just to go off of Amanda, we had a visit with our person from the state, and they were very impressed with how successful our student-led conferences were. That Lynn and I teach together on a team, and we had 100% of our students where we met face-to-face with the parent and the child at the same time. And it was so powerful and such a positive experience. And the state was very pleased with that.
We've been meeting with the state, and they have been very positive overall with what they see, what we're doing, the things that we're following, the process that was put in, that we can kind of blend that state work with what we're doing in this district. They were very positive about that. I feel very fortunate to have the staff that I do that work extremely hard to do what's best for kids, and endless hours that they're putting in to make sure that we can be successful. So we thank you again for allowing us to be here tonight and share a little bit about what we're doing up there. So, anything else? Okay. Any questions?
The only question I have, and I'm trying to keep up with this, are you guys, and maybe I should ask Dr. Dennis this, are you guys aligned kind of with what Stones is doing as well? Because you talk about going out to the internet sites for math and developing curriculum. Is Stones doing the same thing? Are we kind of parallel with each other? Because when KH and Orange County receives these things, they're not going to be dealing with two differently taught.
No, they're working on the same indicators, maybe not at the same time, but everything that they're doing is aligned with where we expect it to be. So.
And I really appreciate your hard work, so don't think negative or think negative of that, because I know it's been a struggle. We're behind you 100% up here, but we're just trying to get some.
And I think in the math meeting the other day, they did look at Engage New York as being part of that curriculum. So
We
that
all
it would
have,
be.
all of us have the same curriculum, Stones and SIDS and the other schools that have 5th and 6th graders. And we're all looking for
good materials to work with that curriculum. We found materials last year. We call them the Georgia units. We use those to develop our curriculum, but they weren't working for us so well, and so that's when we started looking for other things. And the Engage New York really came to the top. We're still teaching the same skills as Stones is teaching, maybe not at the same rate or whatever, but now all of the coaches are looking at the Engage New York units. We haven't made a decision, but we're all looking.
It's more complete, and it's really, I know I was personally struggling in my classroom with the Georgia material, and this has streamlined my instruction, and it's more systematic, and I feel better about where I'm going with my students.
And it really fits with our plan to assess, teach, assess, and reteach.
Do you guys have a collaboration with Stones now as far as
I
working together?
have
and trying to-
collaboration with Kathy Kane, who is their coach. As teachers, we don't have a whole group collaboration, but we meet monthly, twice a month in our coaches meeting, and then I meet with Kathy, her and I individually different times.
You guys ever thought about having collaboration between the teachers?
Yes, we haven't. We did, last summer we did CGI training, and we invited the teachers from Stones to attend, and most of their teachers, or several of their teachers did attend. And we tried to do that, but it's really difficult with our schedules, but we have tried to do that.
They share a lot back and forth through the internet too.
Right.
And when we did the reading curriculum, we actually had all the 5th grade at SITS and all the 6th grade at Stones. And so, yes, there was collaboration as we developed and the reading curriculum a year ago.
And that's true for the math curriculum also.
We mentioned a lot about interventions tonight and getting kids confident in different skills. Do you feel that the enrichment portion of what we need to provide for our students is as solid as the intervention portion once children show competency on different skills?
We do offer a couple different, we offer, for those children not in interventions, we offer enrichments. And if we have staff available, we do offer enrichments in both communications and in math. But it depends on the staff availability. But all of our encore staff also work with the enrichment piece. It's difficult to kind of...
My concern is, the students that show proficiency, I still think that they deserve to be challenged, or
And
you're
so-
gonna lose their interest.
Right.
And it kind of scares me a little bit to know that you're gonna get that if time and staff is available.
But we also have the criteria with MTSS that you need the size of the groups are 6 to 8 students. And when we had over 200 students who need intervention, when we didn't have that many last year, we weren't meeting all of the intervention students. We kind of prioritized, and we did have enrichment groups in both reading and math as well as writing. But then we weren't moving as many kids out. It's a dilemma.
It's a catch-22.
You have to
Right.
juggle,
And
but
so we
all
asked if they
students
challenge
need
kids
to
in the
be
classroom,
considered, yeah.
in the core, that's also that differentiation within the core, that they really need to identify those students and do things there as well, because the resources are limited.
We do have an intervention group for math. In the first semester, there was an enrichment group, I'm sorry. In the first semester, there was a 5th grade group and a 6th grade group. This semester, we had to combine 5th and 6th graders because I needed all of my teachers to do a math intervention. But I stole one back. So the intervention groups are a little larger than we like them to be, but we didn't want to not have that opportunity. But I also think that the encore teachers that provide interventions really try to do things that enhance, the walking club, they keep track of their time and
Labs.
make goals and stuff like that.
More on the health side of what they need.
And the art teacher is always doing something with math or communications, as well as the technology people. I listen to what goes on in the
library with the librarian and her group, and they're always using technology and reading and math together. So they really try. It's just, it's just a logistics thing mainly, but I think the goal of everybody who has an enrichment group, even the paras, is to advance the kids as much as they can.
Last year, we had a number of kids that were interested in History Day, and we took them all through the process, and that was one of our enrichments that Mrs. Parks, our specialist, ran. And this year she's doing, it's called Zoo Burst. It's a technology that they're doing that. Then my student that's in that was able to present to our students in our class. So there are opportunities for that enrichment.
And they are not in that for more than, they're in there for a month. And then they switch so that they have the opportunity to go to other enrichments and gain that. Also,
Well, thank you for answering that. I also want to applaud you for bringing up the word metacognition. I think that's awesome, which is something that we all learned about with regards to college and career readiness. And for those in the audience, I know we've got some students back there. What that means is using your past experience and knowledge to apply to answer the question of what do I do when I don't know what to do? It's not about memorizing a formula. It's about thinking through and knowing how to apply what formula in what case and why. So we're moving towards teaching kids how to think instead of teaching for the test. Have you guys heard that before? So that is great, a great transition towards college and career readiness. I also love how you have understood that MTSS, it works very well with college and career readiness standards. They support each other. It's not different. I mean, it works well together. And I think leading the parent-teacher conferences, student-driven, I think is very good change. I think both intermediate schools are doing that now, right? So, you know that? I think that's great. One of the board goals, as you know, is to get more parent involvement, and that's definitely going to be the key. And I would like to see maybe enrichment. If you don't have access, maybe you can try to get the parents involved at that level too. Send things home and see if we can do more at home. But great presentation.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
I just had a comment. I think your point, Lori, is really well taken, because I think, we do have the requirement to concentrate on intervention, but the enrichment piece is really what's falling short of what we would like because of our funding issues. And I think that's why it's really so critical that we continue to focus on trying to support what we're trying to do and making that known to our legislature, because we've got to eventually remedy that. This is not going to be able to be sustained forever. So I think that, that's kind of where we stand, but a lot of it is because of the funding issue.
We're not blaming you. We know you're doing the best you can. And we want you to know that we understand the situation you're in. Yeah.
If I can ask him a question, I'm sorry. Do you think because there's been a lot of talk about adding technology to different levels, and I know I'm very jealous because there's one school district that's going K through 12 in Kansas with one-to-one initiatives. What do you guys think? Would that help you? If not like we're going to have $40 million anytime soon, but would that be able to help you with the enrichments and being able to focus more on each individual child?
I think the sky is kind of the limit when you're adding technology. Barb and I were able to go to the leadership,
for model schools.
For model schools conference in New Orleans in November, and that was a big thrust of Bill Daggett and Ray McNulty was getting technology, because that's what the kids that are feeding into us are very hungry for. I mean, you could just run off a list a mile long of what you could do. So in a dream world, absolutely, there would be. But on the other hand, being new to the building, there is some neat stuff that we already have that a lot of people don't have. The fact that our kids get a semester of
Keyboarding, they're ahead of the game as far as learning that in 5th and 6th grade in some respects. And the technology in our science lab that is also an encore class is unique to our building too, so.
And I think along with that piece, I mean, we all know, without that technology piece, where are we gonna go? I mean, we're eventually going to have to continue to add that, but.
You make your kids turn in cell phones when they walk in the door in the office, right?
Selfishly, for Karen and I, yes.
Okay, no, about what percentage of your kids, okay, well, one, I know they actually have to turn it in, and some may forget, but about what percentage bring in a cell phone?
The smartphone versus just a straight cell phone, there's probably a bigger difference.
Okay.
There's not as many 5th and 6th graders that have smartphones. The one thing that they do have access to, though, Kindle Fires, tablets that do have Wi-Fi access. So that's kind of been something that we've had to talk about is, you know, we're not allowing cell phones, but they're reading off of their Kindle that's two totally different things in many cases. Instead of being on Facebook in the bathroom or snapping pictures on your cell phone during passing periods. So there's a whole new box to unwrap, I guess, when you look at that. But I think I would say that a good portion of 5th and 6th graders don't have cell phones. They have their parents' retired flip phones or older phones. There are a good number because some of our staff look in there and say, they have an iPhone 5 and I'm dealing with a flip phone.
So about what percentage have a smartphone or higher versus, you know, just like a flip phone? So like cell phone, Kindle, iPad mini or something like that?
You know, we see a handful of the Kindles, the mini, those things. And the smartphones, as we look at those,
10-20%, I'm gonna, that's a complete guess.
Yeah.
But like I said, we
And
haven't
pretty high.
even touched the tip of the iceberg with who has a tablet, access to a tablet. Because you could pick up a tablet now for